Good morning, world. I hope you are all well. My name is Fernando, and welcome to another Webisode of Leaving You with a Thought. For today, I felt that it was only right we discuss monetizing, because if you do not monetize whatever service or product you are offering, then effectively you are out of business. So I want to tell you a story. You guys may be aware of Brand Acton. Brand Acton is a co-founder or co-owner of WhatsApp, or should I say former co-owner of WhatsApp. So him and his partner started WhatsApp, and then eventually they sold it to Facebook about 4 years ago for small fortune of what amounts to 22 billion US dollars now, because remember, some of the money was they could only make some of the money or receive some of the money through the stock grants that were vested. So as part of the deal, that was the agreement, and then they will stay on for the next 5 years, obviously helping develop the product and making sure that the product does not lose its identity, obviously. So Brian tweeted a few months ago that it was time to delete Facebook, which caused a lot of commotion and controversy, because people were wondering why he would tweet such a thing, but he never explained. Only a few weeks ago he was able to sit down for an interview and explain why he said that. So the story is Brian and his partner who founded WhatsApp, Jan Okwam, an immigrant from Ukraine, both worked at Yahoo, and they worked there and then they left Yahoo, citing that they could not stay there because a good product, which was Yahoo, was ruined by greed for money, because Yahoo started placing ads all over the Yahoo page, if you call it. So they left and then went to start WhatsApp, and then which was sold to Facebook. So WhatsApp was founded on two principles. So these are guys who believe in privacy. So they don't collect information or gather data on their users. Also, WhatsApp was founded on end-to-end encryption, which meant that no third party can read, decode, or decipher your messages. Also, this is a very critical one. WhatsApp founders believed that no ads should be placed on their product. So that's why that is the reason why WhatsApp never do advertisement. Now let's talk Facebook. Facebook, different contrast. They don't care much for privacy because they gather a lot of data on their users and they sell it to the highest bidder for targeted ads, obviously. Facebook, it's open-ended, if I may call it. It's not just, end-to-end where only two people can read the messages, so the other people can read your messages, even other users. It's open to the public. And then thirdly, and this is where the big difference is with WhatsApp. Facebook is the largest advertisement network, because they generate 98% of their revenue through advertisements. 98%. So you would imagine if someone buy WhatsApp, someone who's in advertisement, because that's what Mark Zuckerberg is in, advertising, buys WhatsApp, the biggest and largest messaging platform in the world with over 1.5 billion users. If that person buys WhatsApp and they are in advertising, obviously the biggest reason they want to do that is for advertising purposes. But imagine if you buy a platform that its founders do not believe in advertising. Obviously there would be conflict over this. So what happened was, Mark Zuckerberg had agreed with the founders or co-founders of WhatsApp that there will be no pressure on them to monetize the platform for at least for the first 5 years, and then, but eventually Mark Zuckerberg grew tired because WhatsApp still operated not as an anatomy of a Facebook group, but also as a separate entity with the same principles, and this irritated him because obviously he spent $22 billion and he's trying to recoup some of that money. And there's an opportunity for him to advertise to over 1.5 billion people using targeted ads. So then there was an internal conflict within the Facebook family. So eventually Brian Acton sort of like agreed to generating to monetize WhatsApp, and he suggested the user the metered user model, which simply is that users will be able to still use free messages to send free messages, but there will be a limit. So when you exceed the limit, you'll be charged a certain amount of money. That was outrightly rejected by Facebook COO and Mark Zuckerberg, because they thought it was not going to scale. But the real reason was that it was not going to make as much money as compared to just putting targeted ads on it. But the challenge they had with that was that obviously WhatsApp being an end-to-end encrypted platform, they do not have the technology to blend the two platforms, because they could not. There's not enough for them to go on for them to send targeted ads, because all they have is a number to work with. So the only thing they could do was to just use your number to match it to your Facebook users, so that they can you can add your present friend request. So using your number, they were able to just match the two platforms so that you can have present suggested friend requests, but they could not go further than your cell phone, beyond your cell phone number. So Mark Zuckerberg obviously is eager or was eager and keen to start monetizing WhatsApp. So that was not that was a huge obviously conflict between him and the former co-founders of WhatsApp. And then as a result, obviously Brian ended up leaving, and he left. That was a very costly moral grandstand, because he lost about $850 million because he could have also because the money that he lost, he was meant to recoup. Had he stayed a year longer, he was going to recoup it through the stock grants that were vested into the agreement. So he lost $850 million. His partner stayed a year so that he could get his 850 million rand more from the deal. But for me, what was interesting was just that these are two people or two minds that are very great in business, but yet they had a very big different views on how to monetize the platforms. And it was a good case study for entrepreneurs, or for somebody to study from, to say, so that you are before you get into business with anyone, a big lesson was you need to agree on how you will monetize the business, the services, or the product that you are selling. Because in the contract, remember, this contract was signed over Valentine's, so it was pushed through. So much of the finer details were never actually went over. They never went over much of the finer details, and as a result, that's why this conflict started. So for me, it was just a good lesson to realize that, to take note of that. In business, though you need to monetize, it's very important to agree with your partner beforehand as to how you will carry the product forward. And it was an interesting observation. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and keep tuned in for more episodes.